Back at it again with another podcast.
Back at it again with another podcast.
Can't even lie to you. I'm kind of hyped now.
You hype?
Yeah, a little bit.
You a little hype?
A little bit.
It's a good day.
It's a good day for a podcast.
It's a good day. The day that the Lord has made. I'm really excited about just kind of some of the stuff we're getting into today.
Facts.
Sorry, I had
Talking about some stuff I ain't really never talked about to
get
nobody.
Get a little drink. Get a little sip of water. So yeah, we've been hanging out with you guys for a while.
Y'all been hanging with us.
Oh, y'all been hanging out with us. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Shout out to all the true guppies that have really been rocking with us every Wednesday.
Since day one.
You make our Wednesdays better. God makes our Wednesdays better.
Facts.
And
we make every day blessed.
And highly favored.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, somebody.
Read the word. Find it out for yourself.
You remember when, as kids, Mama used to have those notes on our mirrors in the mornings that we had to confess our confessions.
I am a child of God.
Oh, do you remember it?
I am the head and not the tail.
I am above and not beneath.
I am what the word says I am.
I
can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I
don't remember. I do not remember. I used to have that thing.
I remember it's like coming and going.
I am blessed coming and going.
Yeah.
I don't know, but shout out to Mom. She taught us the power of confession.
The power of confession.
So like I got like and that's so, it's so true and so powerful. Like even today, my son is 2 years old, but like we start every day just confessing positive things. Like even if he doesn't fully comprehend what he is saying, I know that his spirit is getting it as he's speaking it over his life. His spirit's getting it. I be pulling
up the Augie, like if I'm hurt or something, I'll be like, hey, put your hand right here. They say healed in Jesus' name.
Oh yeah, he knows
he
that.
Be like healed in Jesus' name.
Anytime he get a boo boo, I'm like, all right, let's lay hands. So it's real, and so
you gotta start them young to get them right.
Facts.
But a lot of people will say this is a different remark. Not different. It's just like a very worldly remark that people like to say. Oh, you're brainwashing your son. What? You just clearly don't know nothing about the word and how it really works and how it's true. And now you over here assuming that he's brainwashing his son when he really getting him prepared for the world. Facts. See, back in the day, back in Bible days, people used to be born and immediately you're living. Okay, so we need to prepare this child to live on their own, like, because the world is crazy out here.
And see, and the thing is, like, I understand as a parent that I've got to be the first one that teaches my son things, because as soon as he goes out and goes to preschool, goes to like interacts with other kids, like these kids are going to be telling him things, and if he doesn't already know what he believes about certain things, they're going to teach it to him
easily
first.
Swayed.
Like, and that can't be.
I
got to be the first one that teaches him truth. So call it brainwash or whatever, but like if I'm gonna be brainwashed with anything, I'd want it to be the word of God.
Facts.
So, because that's
the truth.
Only true living
that's
word.
The truth.
But that's a different story. We got a little sidetrack real quick. You know how we do with these Raw and Uncuts. I've really enjoyed doing these Raw and Uncuts, but something that we've never really gotten into. I have more than Quentin, and I want to let Quentin just have the opportunity to share a little bit today, and I may ask you some questions. Are you on me first?
I don't matter.
I don't know. I want to make sure we get to yours, because
we'll get to it.
We'll get to yours. I might share a little bit first, but I want to make sure we get to yours, because it is truly important. And again, shout out to all of our guppies out there. This has been a real cool, real fun season that we've been working on.
Facts.
But I'm real excited about what we about to get into next.
Yes, sir. This next season gonna be crazy. Honestly, we could take a break. A lot of podcasts that I've like listened to, like they'll take like in between seasons. Some of them they'll just be like, "Oh, let's get right into it." But some of them
we might take a little short sabbatical.
Sabbatical.
We can't have them waiting too long.
That'll be all right.
Pop's gonna be like, "What y'all mean? What you mean?"
Yeah, he'll listen to the old ones though. He ain't got no problem with that.
Yeah, there are some that, if you hadn't listened to, if you skipped some episodes, go back because there's a lot of good content in it. But we're gonna jump on into to this week's episode of God's United Podcast. So without further ado, let's hit that intro for you real quick.
Woo.
Bow.
Hey Siri, play God's United Podcast.
Okay.
It's God's United Podcast. Go ahead and listen up.
God! And God said
Centrifugal force.
You better be in there recording Guys United Podcast.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. Oh!
Good God.
I am going live in 3, 2,
Hold on. I'm not ready.
Cool.
It's ready. Let's get it.
So we're about to get in here. So I wanted us to just kind of share a little bit of our stories, a little bit of our testimonies, just because I do believe that, people are encouraged by testimonies and things like that. So I'm actually sharing mine first.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
big
and then
bro.
we'll get into some of yours. I know some of our students have heard. Actually, a lot of the students that we have probably have not heard some of my testimony. So, as most of you guys know, I did grow up at Agape Faith Church.
Agape Faith Church is our home church. Been here for 24 years.
Yeah, 24 years. Facts. And coming up, I was involved up until a point, and I was while I was in high school, there were some changes within the youth group. There was a new youth pastor. Some things had changed, shifted, and it was just I was just not in a place of maturity where I could receive like I needed to. Yeah. Offense is a really dangerous thing if you don't if you take a hold of it. And I did. I grabbed a hold of some offense, and I kept it with me. And because of that, I fell away from the youth group. Wasn't as involved in church. And I'll be honest, it's very easy not to go to church when you're not involved.
Thanks.
That's why we push, getting involved, being a part of youth groups, joining, using your gifts, whatever the case may be, because everyone has a place in the church. But that's beside the point. So I did get away from the church a little bit. And but Mom, I like how Pastor said it. We had drug problems as a kid. Your face, you're like, what? Pastor says, when we were kids, our mama drugged us to church. We had a drug problem. So regardless of my involvement,
put on his button-up shirt, black pants, khaki pants.
What's that elevation in Maverick
With
City
a tie. Talking to Jesus.
Oh yeah, talking to Jesus.
He said polo shirt, khaki pants, and a polo shirt.
Yep.
Yeah, it's facts. It's facts.
But anyway, so I still continued to come to church. I didn't come to youth as much. I sat across the street in the main service, and I wasn't really receiving a whole lot, just because of the posture of my heart, honestly. And so graduated high school, and I was just like, all right, cool, about to do this thing. About to, I'm a big boy now. I'm grown, figuring out life myself, and got out in the world, and it's really when I started, in my opinion, struggling big time. I struggled with some codependence and self-esteem stuff, through grades or through high school and stuff. I always felt the need to be in a relationship. I was always dating.
Were you about to say grade school?
I was about to say grade school, but I was always dating somebody, some girl.
Facts. Shoot, that's a whole story in itself. I know how many girlfriends this man had. About 37.
If y'all shut up.
Plus 15.
Shut up.
Times 2.
But if you don't chill out. Anyway, so I was always dating girl. I always felt the need to have a girlfriend. Honestly, in all honesty, I was trying to fill a void in my heart that, I should have had a relationship with God, and I tried to fill that void with other relationships. Tried to fill it with sex, tried to fill it with, all of these different things, and it didn't never satisfied. And so I got to a pretty low moment in life, and got to the place where I was experimenting with drugs and whatever the case may be, blah blah blah. Say what?
I said had a real drug problem now.
Yeah, like switched over. I wouldn't even call it a drug problem. It doesn't matter. But
drugs.
But I did get to the point where I was just in a really low moment, and again, just trying to fill that void where that relationship with God should have been, and got to a place where I tried experimenting with drugs, and this was a crazy night. I was physically like real messed up, but like mentally and emotionally and like spiritually in a place where honestly I just felt like I was trapped in my own self. You know how people say they have like outer body experiences?
Yeah.
It was a similar thing where I honestly just felt trapped in a prisoner in my body, and it got to a point where I was really struggling. I was really a bad trip. It was just bad, and so I got to the point where I knew God enough to know that I can always count on Him and call on Him. And so I got to a place where I got to myself and I was just like, God, I need you right now. I know I made a mistake. I know I did this to myself, but I'm asking you to get me out of this this situation, mentally, emotionally, physically. Like, get me out of this situation. And I actually heard God's voice audibly. That was I know that's not, I did. I heard His voice audibly. He said, I'm not going to let you forget this night. And after that, like, my physical body passed out. And I really had this spiritual experience where I believe I saw and experienced some level of hell, like hell itself. And people always try to ask me to describe it and blah blah blah, and the only way that I can really describe it is I was in a place in like a matter. Like it's really hard to explain because like it wasn't like a solid there wasn't like a solid floor, because I remember trying to stand and I could not stand up, and like I could not physically stand, and there were some other things that was going on, but the biggest thing that I remember is that I could not scream for help. I kept opening my mouth and trying to scream and could not scream for help, and so that honestly I experienced that for 3 minutes, and then I got to a place where I felt like I was physically sitting in God's hands, and He just picked me up, and this sense of peace just came over me, and then I began to see glimpses of my life and the plans that He had for me, and it was insane because I can remember specific things. I can remember speaking in United Youth. At this point I hadn't been to church in a couple of years. Like, I hadn't been to this physical building in a couple of years, and I could see glimpses and all of these different things, and then that was it. I went black. I woke up and I was in my bed, and so after that night, I was like, okay, this is it. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that God is not real, and like He for real has a plan for me. So I'm gonna see this thing through, because this is the thing that I've been looking for. This is what I need. I hate the fact that I had to go through that to get to that point, but that's where I needed to be, and so I got serious about it, and So fast forward, I'm pursuing this relationship with God hardcore. I'm losing friends left and right. I lose the girl that I'm dating. I lose a lot. And at that time, I'm thinking, Quentin, like it's just crazy to think about, like, okay, I'm pursuing God, and like it seems like everything in my life is falling away. But what I realize now is that God was just making room for the new. He was making room for more. He was making room. He had to get the bad out so that we could get the good in. So that's really what it was for me. When people ask me my story, I mean that's a snippet of it. But that's kind of how I got to the point where I'm so on fire for God. I'm so in love with God, and and there's no convincing me that hell's not a real place, and there's no convincing me that heaven's not a real place. And so I know that when we leave this earth, we're gonna see one of them, and so the only way to get to heaven is through Jesus Christ. And I want to say one more thing, because I struggled a little bit after I had this experience, because at first I didn't really want to share it with a lot of people because I didn't fully understand it. I'm just like, how in the world, like what in the world? But then I heard Kenneth Hagin's testimony, and how he had a hell experience, and he actually got saved on his way to hell. Like, have you ever heard his testimony?
Yeah,
it's pretty insane. So like, for those of you guys that may not have ever heard his testimony, I'd encourage you to look it up. But the point is not that whoa, hell, but like, that is not the point at all. The point is, this is real. God is real, and he made himself so real to me, and I'm just in a place where there's no convincing me that he's not real, and I'm just so in love and so committed to just continuing to build this relationship. So that's kind of my story. So
now?
Yep. Yeah, so I want to hear, because I hadn't really heard your story.
Good.
Really?
Like I really didn't. For a while, I didn't think I had a testimony.
This is my testimony.
Because it was just, I don't know, just me coming to church. Like Dallas said, like we were raised here. And so all of my life I've been here. So it didn't really seem like I had a testimony to, like, I mean, I could tell you about my parents pulling up to the church and then me coming with them, and eventually but I didn't think I had a testimony for a while. But now I know I do. Now I know I do. And where to start? Really, let's take it back 19. Me being 19. So how long ago was that?
You're 24 now?
Yeah.
So 5 years?
So 5 years. So I just get out of a relationship with an ex-girlfriend who is a believer of Jesus Christ, and we've like hung out at her church, done things like this, gone to youth groups together and whatever. And actually, let's take it back to high school.
Take it on back.
Yeah, take it back to high school. Whenever I was, so all throughout school, yeah, I sang in the choir. I was serving, doing all these things.
Sang in the choir at church.
Yeah, sang in the choir at church. In youth, I was singing back then. And back when I was in that moment, I thought, like, this is it. like everything I'm doing right now is it. Even though, like, I'm doing what I'm doing at church, and I'm going, like, I wasn't really living two-faced, but it was like, I was lukewarm, really lukewarm. Yeah. And, like, I really didn't know what lukewarm was to not be it. And so, like, I'm at church doing all these things. I would always say I'm down for whatever. I don't know. You remember me saying that all the time? I used to say that all the time. I'm down for whatever.
You did. You say that all the time.
Facts. I used to say that all the time. I'm down for whatever. And I didn't really realize what I was saying then. And that really, I understand now that when I said I'm down for whatever, it's like, I'm down to, like, to get in God's presence, but I'm down to drink these drinks, smoke this weed, you know, And like I really didn't.
Sweet.
Facts, and I didn't really know what I was doing. Yeah. But so I get a little older, I graduate, and I'm still down for whatever, just living life. And like I said, like after high school is when I really started getting interested in. I was interested in girls all my life, but like I really started like. Like after high school is when I really started like going after girls.
That's when girls started getting interested in you.
No, I just didn't really know what was going on until after high school. And so so after high school I really started like pursuing girls and different things like this, and probably I don't know. Yeah, like first girl I really started talking to, your boy get caught up in a situation. Not really caught up, but like I wouldn't view it as caught up then. I was just living life. But in reality, I got caught up. Had caught some soul ties, you know what I'm saying? And I don't even, if you don't know what that is, we'll get into that later. But got caught up into some soul ties. And fast forward, I wasn't dating the girl. And then fast forward, I actually get this girlfriend. Like I said, we were coming to church, doing all these things. And it was just a relationship that I didn't really care about anything. Like I didn't care about much through this whole time. I was just living life. I was still down for whatever. And eventually it gets to a place to where her and I break up. And so I'm like depressed, but I was depressed. Yeah, I would say I was depressed for a little bit. But then actually my fiance started hitting me up before she was my fiance.
Slid in them DMs.
Yeah. And so we started talking. About a month later, we started dating. And so, like, I'm happy. I'm good. But, me being caught up in these relationships, I did her wrong. I was doing my fiance wrong. And I'm glad that she stood by me through all that I put her through. Because I was really just not caring about myself. Like, I cared about her, but not enough to as I should have, you know? And so there were times where I would put her in situations. Like, I don't know. It's just a lot. It was just a lot, and I put her through different things. And eventually, so I'm older now. I'm probably like 21, 21-ish. And like, so I'm in this moment to where I didn't really drink or smoke when I was in high school. But after high school, I started like really drinking, kind of a little bit, not really too much. Because I didn't really care to drink because, you can't really drive. So I was like, this ain't it. And I love to drive. So I was like, I'm not trying to do anything where I can't drive. And so I started smoking weed. Smoking weed. And so probably 21, 22, I didn't really smoke that much, but I smoked enough to like, it was cool. Like I wasn't like ever fiending for it.
Yeah.
But I was dabbling in it, and of course, the longer I was doing it, the more I progressed, and so I used to smoke. I used to go to work, smoke, and when I worked at Brookstown, it was silly. It's all good. It's all good. I ain't got no shame in my game, But yeah, I used to go. Shoot, nah, it's all good. It's all good. Because it's already past. I don't even work there no more. But yeah, so like I was smoking and doing all these things. And so there was times where like, I could have got caught. But there was a time where I was pulled over by the cops, had weed in the car, smelling up the whole thing. Like sitting here, like it could have, like God was legit taking care of me in these moments. Like there's multiple moments that I know about and some I don't know about that I know for sure God took care of me. Like I'm legit I'm in my car and there's a cop standing right next to me. Yes, there's weed in the car. And luckily he didn't smell it, get home that night, and shoot, that didn't even faze me. Like next day kept doing the same thing.
Living life carelessly and God still watching over you.
But it wasn't until it was a night where there was an objective. The objective was, I think you were out of town. At the end of the night, we had to go to your house for whatever reason. So it was a God thing. I just know, like, for some reason it was a God thing because Dallas, a pastor or whatever. So the objective of the night was a God thing. So the whole time I'm hanging out with friends and doing different things, but eventually at the end of the night, I'm like talking with my friends. I'm like, oh man, like this was all God. Like, you just came to the realization that this is God. And like God took care of us here. God did all these things for us, and like we're here now, and like it's all God. And like that's when I really started to have an epiphany about like how God really was in my life, because the whole getting pulled over, and just different things that just accumulated to me seeing, oh yeah, like God was making it evident that He was really in my life, really taking care of me. And so, but still, I was smoking. But I was always, like I said, came to this church all this whole time. I wasn't really serving as much because I was working more, and so it came to a point to where I would like smoke, and then I don't know how I came to it, but like a song started playing. It was like a worship song, so I started like giving it up to God while I'm high, and it was great. I was like, oh yeah, like I just feel real good. Like I know God got me. Like I ain't worried about none of this, because like I'm good with God, you know. And this whole time, I'm still dating my girlfriend that turns into my fiance. And like, I mean, I put things on her that we didn't need in the relationship because I wasn't fully prepared whenever we started dating. Like I put her to go. I made it so she had to go through things, and now there are things that we have to do now because of that. And I know it's my fault, but I can't allow that to like slow me down. Because the enemy will try to put these things on me, be like, oh yeah, it's your fault that your girlfriend has to go through this. Oh, it's your fault that she thinks these things about her. It's your fault about all these different things. And I'm like, I can't mess with that. God is going to take care of the situation regardless. So yes, so I'm still smoking. I'm getting high, praising God. And my friend, like we get to a place to where the weed man, the plug, like we start hanging out with the plug, and the plug is a real spirit. He was a real spiritual dude at the time, but it wasn't like God. It was different spiritual, which was like, because with like the conversation, like he would talk about like the spiritual on what he believed in, all these things, and like because of my background with God, like I know about that, I know about this, but I don't know about that and that. And so I had to like, I had to, then I was just living life. So I didn't really care. I was just like, oh, like this is just more truth to what I know. In reality, is a little shaky. It's just like some stuff off that's not necessarily true, but I didn't really know that. I wasn't using the power of discernment at this time. Yeah. But it got to a point to where like we hanging out with the plug. We were talking about his spiritual walk, spiritual life, and all these different things, and yeah, we all high. And I'm like, man, like this is not it. Like I just come to the conclusion that this is not it. Like God just did it for me. He was like, this is not it. And so I was like, oh man, I got to go. Like this is not it. And I'm talking to my friend. I'm like, bro, we got to get out of here. And he's like, all right, bet. Like we're gonna swerve out in a second. And so like it's just a lot that night, just a lot going on. Like I can't mess with this because this man over here talking about things that are spiritual, kind of godly, kind of not, all these different things. And I'm like, these are opening doors to things that I do not want to open myself to. So bro, we got to get out of here type stuff. So did you realize that in that moment, like in the midst of the conversation, you were understanding, okay, we're getting into some like it was probably like after a few conversations. Yeah. Because like it wasn't like the first time we hang out with him. The second time, but probably like that third, fourth time, like I'm like, yo, like, cause I was cool with him. Like I had no problem with him, but just like the stuff he was into is just like, man, like I said, I knew some of it because some of it was from the word, but some of it was from other belief systems. It's just different things that I was not trying to open myself to. So I was like, yeah, like, oh no, we got to get out of here. And of course, God made a way for us to get out of here. And then after that night, like I was still smoking, but I wasn't, I don't know, it was just different. It was just different after that. And I remember, what was it, 2019? I don't know. It was just like the end of the year. And I was smoking with other people, and this was like accumulation of I've had experiences with God. I've been high. Had experiences with God, and so, like God is. I'm seeing the light. I'm getting to the light, and it's a night where it's like New Year's Eve. It's the last day of the year, and like I'm hanging out with some friends, smoking, and I catch myself saying, I said, I don't know what happened, but I smoked something, and then like I started coughing, and I was like, man, I just smoked death. I said that, and like all my life, like I've known, like saying, like you get what you say, like built by words.
At the beginning, yeah, like we had mama had us down on that confession.
Facts. So I knew I was like, oh man, like this ain't it. And I don't know if I'm allergic to cats, but there were cats around, and like my sneezing, like all these different stuff just going around. I was like, this is not it. I just said some stuff that I'm not trying to speak, and so I got to go. Like I'm like, bro, we got to get out of here. I'm about to go home, and so I pull up. I get home this night, and like I'm just going through it because like I'm having anxiety. Like this is probably the first time I ever felt anxiety. And like I'm having anxiety about this whole situation, like about what I said. I knew I'm built on words, so like you get what you say. So I'm like over here like, oh man, what's going on? Like I don't want to be high no more. Like I got to get in the shower, all these different things. And so like I hop in the shower, and I'm like, oh man, like so I'm like I gotta make myself throw up type stuff. And so I shove my fingers down my throat, and like I try to make myself throw up, but like my nails were long at this time, so I cut like somewhere on my throat, and so I'm like coughing up blood. But it's not like anything bad, but me being high, me being like, oh, what I just said, like I'm overthinking everything right now. Man. So like I'm over here going through it, like spitting up blood, like I'm like, man, it was just a night to remember, yo. And I was like, yeah, this is not it. And so after that night, I remember like going to sleep after all of this, but like that night, I was like, God was like, cause like you said, I called on God. I was like, God, like I know you real. I know like what is going on right now. And like what he told me, he was like, your old man is dying right now. The old has passed away. This is rebirth.
Oh man.
And so after that, I was like, I bet, like I do not need to worry about this no more because I'm good. Like my old man is just dying right now. So, dang, boy, what? And I, like before, I was just scared, like deep in fear. But God gave me peace, and I was like, all right, well, all right. And it made sense. Like I had to, like now looking back, I said something about death, but I was talking about my old man. It's time for my old man to die, and so that's exactly what happened that night. My old man died off. And so after that, like 21 days of fast, I was like, yep, I'm not smoking no more. So I quit cold turkey, which wasn't even hard for me because I realized like things that I put on myself that weren't meant for me, it was easy to stop, especially with God, you know? So yeah. I wasn't like craving for it, but there were a couple of times where I wouldn't even say I slipped up. I was just like, I'll try it. And then I had anxiety while I'm smoking. So I was like, yep, that's not it. Like, I don't know. But I started giving my life to Christ. And even when I wasn't high or anything, I was feeling anxiety. And this was the first time I felt anxiety because I was really giving my life to Christ, and the enemy was really trying to come for me now. And I don't know if y'all were in the service, but that whole time I went to the ER, and like I had to get that thing cut off on me. And like after that, I ain't felt anxiety, and I know I don't have to worry about anxiety no more because God has got me. And just this whole realization of all of that just opened my eyes to knowing God is real. God is there for me. He's gonna supply no matter what I'm feeling, no matter what I'm going through. God is always gonna supply, and to really be sure of that, that's the word. That's what you gotta build yourself up in the word. Yeah. Like you gotta speak these scriptures over you and have them engraved into every fiber of your being. Not just knowing them, not just being able to quote them. That's good, but you have to live these things out and like really speak them over your life. See, our mom, she engraved that into us as a child, and so now I know like that I remember even before I was like deep giving my life to Christ, I was with like certain friends groups, and they were like, everybody would be like, I'm dead. I was like, oh no, we're not saying that. Like I remember telling my friends, like, we're not saying I'm dead. Like we can say I'm asleep. I was like, so everybody in the friend group started saying I'm asleep, and that was before like I was really in Christ, like I am now. But see, the things that my mom and like Pastor Whitfield and all these people have placed in me came out even before I was really giving my life to Christ.
Living for it.
But now I know, like, that old man has passed away. Anytime the old man tries to pull up, like, oh no, I'm not. That's not me no more.
Hey, that's good, man.
Hey.
That's really good to get to that point and like to understand, like, this is just it's time for the old man to die. This is the old man dying. And see, and a point I want to make that, you know, you kind of hinted on, like, I feel like there are so many people that get so attached to the old man. They get so attached to
The old habits.
Or, you know, old things that, you know, old relationships, old friendships, people that they want to be a part of and want to be boyfriend and girlfriends with, and blah blah blah. And, you know, there are times where God is trying to it's time for the old man to die, and we keep trying to hold on to him and hold on to those things, and, you know, let that go. We've got to let that go, because once we heard it both in both of our testimonies. Once you get to a place where you let go of the old, you let go of the things that you're not supposed to have, and when you let go of the person you were never created to be, then you can find the fullness of God in your life.
Yeah.
Man, that is good.
Yeah.
That is good. And to look at you now, and to look at, you know, how short of a time you've really been going after God with everything.
It's really only been a year.
Like
this is really my second year really giving my life to Christ like this.
But to see how far you've come in this short amount of time, like, it's just, it's inspiring to me, you know, because one, like, I love, like you're still the type of person, you still gonna be blunt. You still gonna make sure, like, hey, don't be saying negative stuff like that. Like, don't, especially, like, we started this series, church-wide, built by words. You get what you say. Quentin was just like, oh yeah, I was made for this. This is it. I'll let somebody know real quick when you speaking negative things.
Yeah.
But to get to a point where
that's also like I said, like I was like that is who you truly are. Is you, if you're not truly who you're supposed to be, there are glimpses of you that you're truly supposed to be. Like, you know, those talents that you have that you kind of do that you don't really like. I don't really feel like doing that, but those talents that God has given you, like, that is a part of who you're supposed to be. But there are some things that you have put on yourself to that, oh, I want this to be a part of me. I want this to be, but that's not meant for you. So it's harder for you to do that. It's harder for you to get into those things. Yeah,
that's good to, you know, like, those characteristics that God placed on the inside of us, they always come through. And man, it's just really cool to see how God loves us so much. Just hearing some of your testimony, and, you know, just seeing those moments where, even in the midst of our recklessness, God still loves us and protect us. And you know, let me clarify, there are times where we do go through things, you know, there are times where we do have to learn a lesson in a different way, but there are other times God protects us from things so that we learn a lesson. So you know, I could have kept doing what I was doing. Eventually I could have got caught up with some drug charges, you know? Yeah, because I will say that when you are dabbling in sin and, you know, you make a mistake, a lot of times God will wake you up and be like, hey look, dummy, like, I protected you from this. But look, if you keep doing it, like, this sin gonna catch you up. You make your bed and you have to lay in it. Yeah, and so you know, that's how it works sometimes. And so, you know, but at the end of the day, just seeing how much God loves us is so encouraging and inspiring. And, you know, that testimony itself just, that encourages me and inspires me, you know, in the midst of it all, just getting to a place where we can just really allow the old man to die. Yeah. And, you know, your experience, I know it wasn't, I don't know, it may have been as drastic as, you know, like a Saul to Paul type of experience where, you know, like, I mean,
in that moment, I was not sure if I was about to live, yo. Like, I was really scared. Like, man, it was a lot. Yeah.
And then just, you know, there's a lot. I know we got to get ready to wrap up, but this is the last episode of the season, so, you know, it can be a little longer if it needs to, but like just unpacking some of the, like, the spiritual awareness, like when you got into these moments where you were either hanging out with someone that was talking about spiritual things, and you were able to, you know, whether you realized it or not, you were able to discern, you know, hey, this is something I don't need to be a part of. And then on the flip side of things, you know, in the midst of you know, doing whatever you were doing, you were still at a place, your spirit man was still crying out for God and longing God. And so even with the worship song just coming on and you being able to worship him, like, your spirit man was breaking out. And it's really cool to see that within your testimony. Like, your spirit man was like, I don't know how to describe it. The only visual I'm getting is kind of raunchy, so I'm not going to even say it, but like, it's just your spirit man was like really, really trying to come out of you in those moments. And
it's like the Nutty Professor.
Okay, yeah, there's a good description. And so that's really cool, and I find it really interesting because, like, you know, like a lot of you listeners, like, this is my first time hearing this testimony from Quentin, and so I find it really interesting that, you know, we both got to a place where, at the end of the day, you know, we were, you know, searching for something, dabbled into drugs a little bit, and but at the end of the day, God still loved us so much that he kept us, preserved us, and brought us here. And we're gonna continue to move forward. We're gonna keep on keeping on and allowing God to be God in our lives.
That's all we can do.
Yeah,
that's all I want to do, at least.
That's all I want to do. Because, you know, we never want to be the type of people that get stagnant, but, like, also, you know, just, you know, get stagnant to a place where, you know, I don't care about moving forward anymore, and allow those type of sins to travel to our children. Like, you know, that's real. Generational curses are real, and we've talked about that a little bit.
Like, for me, I got to catch myself not being lazy, because I was big lazy. Missed the bus so many times going to school. So many times.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's another story. Some of the running through the neighbor's yard, and
it's a lot. I wouldn't really get into that.
Anyway, so, but that's cool. And, you know, again, we wanted to share our testimonies today just to hopefully encourage some of you guys. You know, just be encouraged. You know, God is so good. God is so good. Even when we're not, God is still good. And he loves us so much. He's always with us. He'll always be with you. He'll never give up on you. And just stay true to him. Allow the old man to die. Allow that man to die. And let your spirit man live.
Thanks.
All right. You got any other closing remarks?
Just because both of our stories had anything to do with drugs, and it does not mean
yours needs to.
It needs that. Yeah, and like don't feel like, because for a while, like I said, I didn't think I had a testimony. Like I didn't force that life upon me. No, it was just what I could handle, what God knew I could handle, and everybody has their own testimony. Even if you don't feel like it, you're living your testimony.
Yeah, and somebody needs to hear your testimony. Somebody needs to hear your testimony, regardless of how big or small you feel like it is. Somebody needs to be encouraged by your testimony.
Facts.
Because somebody, again, not everyone goes through like the drug issues or whatever, but there may be someone that may be dealing with heartbreak that God was able to heal you through. Like so everyone has their own testimony. And own that thing, baby. Own it.
Yes.
So that's good. Well, we're gonna go ahead and jump off here. So you wanna give it to him for the last time ever? I'm playing. We gonna be back. Don't worry. Do not worry.
Yep.
We coming back.
And if we haven't said it, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night.
All right. We'll catch you guys on the flip.
But you don't have to take my word for it.